what's up, guys? I'm here with Shiva, the valedictorian of C. Leon King High School for a class of, what is it?
Class of 2023.
2023.
Almost forgot.
He's not just a valedictorian too. That's why I brought him on here. Okay, he has a social life. Okay, he is the band captain of his team. He is the orchestra president. He is the speech and debate captain of Public Forum and the assistant president of that as well. And he is also the student government class president. So he's a lot of things. He does a lot. That's why I brought him on here today. So we're gonna start off by, why don't you just talk about yourself?
Yeah, guys. Yeah, so as far as said, I have a couple of leadership positions in school. I like to do a lot at a higher level. I think that's really important because if you commit to something, you might as well put the time into it, put all your time into it. And I also think that besides just having like a bunch of extracurriculars and having a bunch of AP classes and whatever, grinding out your GPA, you gotta have some more actual life with you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about that today. Excited to talk about how to balance everything. I think that's my skill.
Yeah, that's definitely your skill. You do so much. So let's start off with the first question, which is, what are your priorities in life right now? Like, what is your overall mindset when you came into high school and right now?
When I came into high school, I wanted to have a better social life. In middle school, I was really introverted.
Oh yeah?
And maybe towards 8th grade, I started opening up more. But I don't think until 8th grade, like I was very out there at all. And in 8th grade, I suddenly just realized like I want to talk to more people. I didn't really manage to do that. So in high school, freshman year, I started doing that more.
It's good to make a first impression.
Exactly.
Yeah, having that first impression is so important. That's what I did too. I have the same story as you almost. Like
in middle school, you were introverted?
In middle school, I had like maybe 2 or 3 good friends, but now I know like basically everyone in my grade.
It's easier to do that in IB as well because it's a smaller class, right?
Yeah. And everyone's like the stereotypical like shy. Like studies and everything. There's not a lot of extroverted people in IB. There's not a lot of like people like extroverted.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, you can be that person for your class. You can be that person who's out there and doing stuff for your class. I'm lucky. My class had a lot of people that were like that. So, yeah, we have a lot of good people in our class. Extroverts, very out there. And I think now my goals are more oriented towards preserving my relationships with people. I want to make sure that everyone's good with me. I'm good with everyone, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a good goal to have.
Yeah, spending more time with my family. That's an important one.
That's good.
I remember you talking about something like that, actually.
Yeah, I try to spend time with my family too, but I don't really have enough time. Well, I don't make enough time for myself, and I should do that. I should set time with my family because I only get to spend like the nighttime before bed. I tuck my mom in and stuff like that. Yeah. I barely see my mom too. She's working she works every day of the week at 2 hospitals. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But next question, how do you have such a good social life? I know you place such an emphasis on it, but like, what do you do to make so many friends? Why are you always smiling? Tell me all about that.
You gotta manifest it for yourself. So I'm gonna answer your second question with that. If you're not smiling, then no one's gonna smile for you, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you guys set the mood with that when you walk into the room. And then the second thing, I think that with making a social life, first of all, you gotta make time for your friends as well. You can't just make time for your family if you want to also have friends. You gotta also be able to hang out with them. And what that's gonna require from you, right? You gotta rebalance your schedule. You gotta.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think people underrate this, right? Like, it doesn't matter how productive we are all the time if we're slow and productive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we gotta be faster at what we do.
So how do you do your work faster? Like, do you have any methods you use?
I took this quote from Abraham Lincoln really seriously, right?
Yeah.
He said, if you have like 8 hours or something like that to chop down a tree, sharpen the saw for 6, right? So if you meditate before you do your work, you'll get it done a lot quicker. You take peppermints or something like that. That'll also help you focus. Gum, anything that stimulates your brain. And those kinds of things are going to really help you out. They're going to help you out with building that focus and then getting into that deep state. You won't stop until your task is finished.
See, I made a video on this. And
exactly.
he already does this stuff.
I'm trying to not repeat what he said in his videos, but I don't know everything.
So you said you meditate. How much do you meditate every day?
So recently it's been more like 30 minutes every single day. In sophomore year when I was at my peak productivity, it was 10 minutes.
That's pretty good. 30 minutes a day. Imagine that. Just sitting with your thoughts, closing your eyes for 30 minutes a day. I only get to do like 3 to 5 minutes a day because I'm not really good at meditation yet. I'm not going to lie.
That's all right.
I'm working on it.
You don't have to be yet.
Yeah.
It's a skill, right? It's like a muscle.
So how do you go about like social media? Like whenever you're working, do you like check it a lot and stuff? Or do you have like rules for yourself?
I told myself that I would only check my media way back in sophomore year, right? I told myself I would only check it like between my breaks, but I didn't get up with that, right? So
Yeah.
I had to turn off my notifications for it, and that's how I got off of it.
Oh, so you don't even have your notifications on?
I don't have my notifications on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I get around it, right? But I mean, I still check it from time to time, and once I get on the reels and start scrolling, I can't stop scrolling.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes into making sure that you have all those limitations on it. Forest, productivity apps, those kind of help a lot.
I personally, I don't even have most social media. I only have YouTube and like Discord, and that's it. I find that like it's easier to just not have it in the first place.
Exactly.
But everyone's different. It's better if you like just moderate it if you want to keep it at all. So tell me about your average day. Like when you wake up, tell me about your summer day, and then we'll go on from there.
We'll go on
Like,
from
what do
there.
you do in a summer day?
In summer, so it depends on which summer you're talking about. This summer, what I tended to do, I think this is a good one, right? To go off of my recent summer.
Yeah.
You might want to cut this part out. All right. But yeah, this summer, what I was mainly focused on was getting more athletic. That was a big one.
Crocodile.
Yeah. All right, getting more athletic was a big goal for me this summer. So I want to play volleyball, right? I want to go out to the open gyms, go out to Quarry Beach over there.
Oh yeah, I saw you out there a lot.
Yeah.
Saw you.
I made a lot of time for that because I wanted to play sport better, and I hadn't really played any sports until this year. So definitely got more involved with that. And then on top of that, I tried to do more with HIT. It's my service foundation that I'm doing.
Oh really?
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
that? Tell me about it.
Herd of Youth Trailblazers. Yeah, we're a service organization. We're dedicated to alleviating poverty and mental health struggles in the Tampa Bay area. And this year's been like our pilot year. So we've been trying to build funds so we can do more events with it. We've raised almost, I can't really say for sure the full assets, but I think we raised around $50,000.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's for mental health and like poverty and stuff like that?
Yeah, specifically
great.
towards teenagers actually.
Oh.
Because I think that teenagers have a big struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
And then for teenagers in poverty, that's an intersection, right? Because oftentimes you got adults who are going through poverty, and those are really recognized. But there'll be kids on the street, they don't know how to go beg, they don't know like what they have to do to get access to resources. So we want to help with those kinds of kids, getting them publicity.
That's nice. So you like provide them with the resources?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Donation
That's great.
events, or we have backpack builds with the Maine Foundation, which is the Bullard Family Foundation.
You do a lot, bro. So what is something that most people don't know about you?
I think that most people don't know that I get stressed out a lot. And
really?
I tend to say I don't get stressed out about stuff. I think that's part of my manifesting thing, right? And usually I can get myself to comment like whatever is stressing me out down. But I think that part of that, like out of that whole not stressing out about stuff, I've managed to stress myself out more. And what I have to do to remind myself is like that the end goal, like I'm still gonna be in one piece by the time I get to the end, and it's not gonna be like a super, I don't know, it's not gonna break me, you know?
Yeah.
But most people don't realize that I stress out too about stuff because I act really nonchalant about things.
Yeah, stress is a good thing though. Having a lot of stress on you, that's honestly better than just like not having anything in your life.
Exactly.
So
All right. So school days, I got a lot of band stuff because band is like one of the most heavy after-school extracurriculars that you can join in high school, and I'm proud that I managed to manage that one, along with everything else that I've got going on. But band, like Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, you got 3-hour rehearsals or you got games, which are, I mean, you're going through the night. So you gotta get your time management up for those. Debate, I got 2 hours on Wednesdays after school.
dang.
Yeah, so I'm coming home every day around like 6 p.m. is the early times. And then usually it's actually like 8 p.m. that I'm coming home.
Wow.
So to manage all of that, right? But getting home at like pretty late times every single day, you gotta focus on, well, you gotta get right to meditating when you get home. You can't wait to start the work. You gotta get started as soon as you hit the,
That's
I mean,
true.
yeah, you can't sleep. You
So you
can't.
meditate in the afternoons?
I try to.
Nice.
And I try to meditate when I get home from school. That's important. So like 8 p.m., as soon as I get home, I meditate because that gets me in the mood to do the work.
That's good. That's good. And then you sleep around when? Like, what's the latest you usually sleep?
My average time, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be like 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Dang, you gotta sacrifice your sleep that much?
I do. But
do you recover on the weekends?
I recover on the weekends, yeah.
Okay. Personally, I try not to sacrifice any of my sleep at all, because like I just feel terrible on a good day.
Yeah.
I can't focus. I can't go on my runs. I run every day. I try to sleep at the same time every day, 9 p.m. to 6:30 a.m.
And that's a better way to be, I think.
Yeah.
The only reason I've managed it is because I had to compile a bunch of hacks, right? For feeling more awake when I'm at school, yeah. And try to stay awake for longer.
Tell me some of them.
Some of those hacks? Alright, so one big thing is chewing gum.
Chewing gum?
Yeah, that one's going to keep you awake at least. And then when you get up in the morning, the first thing you got to do is take a cold shower. I mean, a lot of people do that, right?
Yeah,
you got to wake yourself up. Also, I should probably mention this. It's good to take 2 showers, right? If you're not taking super slow ones, like you got to take quick showers, right? In the morning, you take one that's cold, it wakes you up. Take a warm one in the afternoon or the night, and that's going to put you more to sleep. It's going to get your serotonin up, yeah.
Andrew Huberman was talking about that. You know Andrew Huberman?
I do.
Okay, yeah. I learned that from him too. So, do you balance, what do you prioritize more, your health or your academics right now?
Health or academics? I would say health right now. But it wasn't like that before. I mean, I'm in senior year, second semester, so I'm not really prioritizing school as much. But I would definitely say, like, in sophomore year, junior year, when I had, like, 8 APs on my plate in sophomore year, junior year it was, like, 7. I had to definitely put my health aside for a bit. Wasn't sleeping at all. Wasn't really eating well enough. And, yeah, I mean, I really need to get in the game again.
Do you regret that? Do you regret not getting all that sleep? Do you think it was worth it?
I don't have any regrets about it, I don't think. Because I'm happy with where I am right now. I think that you need to have some periods where you sacrifice your health for, I mean, whatever you want to accomplish, right?
That's true. I got to take that advice.
I mean,
I got to take that advice.
It might not be for everyone, though.
Yeah. Maybe not for me as much, because I got to run every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need your sleep for that.
Oh, yeah. And also, I mean, like, you're going to slowly lose, like, your ability, your propensity to complete things if you don't get sleep.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of that whole speed to do things thing that we were talking about. You're going to have to, like, be meditating every 2 minutes to keep your focus up, and that's not fun.
You got to recover this summer and get that sleep in.
Definitely.
All right. So, what are some of the sacrifices you had to make other than your health? Or you could talk about that too.
I think that one big thing was connections with people.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, let me explain that, because that's, I mean, a whole thing. With mental health, like, I was constantly trying to people please until my sophomore year. Even sophomore year throughout, I was just really obsessed with people liking me, right? And I don't think that's the way to be. I think you gotta be authentic. Yeah. And I mean, you hear it a lot, right? You gotta hear, like, you be authentic, you gotta be yourself. But you don't really get told that a lot anymore. It's a simple advice that's easy to forget. So I put that into practice. I started being more authentic. I lost people because of it. You're gonna lose people because of it too. Everyone does. It's just a part of life, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely great to be authentic and genuine.
Yeah.
It's great to be genuine, because that's how you actually, like, build your own personality, and you don't, like, try to copy anyone else.
Exactly. But I think people forget that, right?
Yeah.
It's simple. It's the simple stuff.
You're a great example for that. Being authentic, you do everything, you have a good social life. You're not like the stereotypical IB student who studies like 7 hours a day. I don't think you do.
No.
Let's talk about that. How much do you study?
I focus on active recall. So when I'm in class, I try and do things to bolster what my memory is getting from, like, what I'm learning. But if it's, well, now I'm not doing that as much, right? Because I'm sleeping in my classes. But I mean, again, I want you to take away lessons from what I've gone through, not from what I'm doing right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but when I'm not sleeping in my classes, I'm definitely using active recall, so I don't have to study as much at home. That's also very helpful. Making the most use of your time. You got to value your time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how much money you're putting into something if you're not valuing how much time you're doing for it. Because in the future, you're going to have a job, and that job is going to earn you money for every amount of time that you're putting into it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's better to value the time because that's your input.
Exactly. So, I just had a good question. I need to remember it. Do you take notes? Do you take notes during school, or do you try to, like, understand what's happening as it comes?
It depends on the subject. In history, I take notes, and I think that helps out a bit. Biology, I don't use notes in the traditional way, but I still do take something. Like, I'll be trying to make a mnemonic as the teacher's teaching it.
Biology?
Yeah.
Do you do this thing called mind mapping?
Mind mapping, yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, mind mapping is very helpful for biology.
Yeah. If you don't know what that is, once we get to next year and you take, like, bio or something, any class that requires a lot of memorization, you should look into mind mapping. There's, like, a bunch of videos on it. I don't really know what it is, to be honest, because I don't do it yet, but Yeah.
It would be very helpful for those kinds of classes. Biology, history, it's also very helpful. I don't think it helps as much for math classes. That's a different one.
Math, you just gotta like understand.
You gotta practice and you gotta understand it, yeah.
Practice. So what is your overall life mindset? If you had like a couple words to say about your mindset for life, what would you say they are?
My life mindset is that discipline and consistency always outweigh talent. I think that people put way too much emphasis on what your propensity is rather than how much you can do right now to bolster yourself.
I agree with that completely. You shouldn't even be thinking about like the talent aspect of things. You shouldn't be even thinking about like genetics when you go into the gym, like your natural voice, how it affects you. You shouldn't be thinking about the things you can't change. You should only be thinking and putting your energy into like things you can change. Because why would you waste your energy on like other stuff?
And there's plenty of people who can do it. They can be the best even if they don't have the talent for it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, to a certain extent, there's going to be people who are better than you at a sport just because they have, like, freakishly tall genetics from their parents or whatever. Or they have, like, a huge vertical jump. Or in the gym, they're, like, just naturally able to bulk up from, like, doing a couple trap races, you know? But those people can't be better than you if you put more effort than them.
Yeah.
There's always a way to put more effort.
Effort is everything.
Exactly.
Effort is everything. So you say one of your values is discipline, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, how are you disciplined? But, like, that's pretty obvious.
Well, no, I mean, I could give you some stuff on that.
Yeah, go ahead, give me.
Okay, so, like, with discipline, you gotta build a routine. It takes 7 days to make a routine. Sorry, it takes 21 days to make a routine, 7 to break it. So, it's a lot easier to break your routines, your positive routines, than it is to make them.
Have you broken them a lot?
I did, in the beginning especially. I used to break my routines all the time. And I think that a big thing for it was I had to force myself to do it, right? It was definitely unhealthy at first. That's how all things that are kind of good for you feel, right? Eating vegetables when you're a kid, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Asparagus, like all that stuff, you don't want to eat it, but you got to eat it. You just got to do it.
All right. So you said you have a routine, and that makes me think you plan your days, right?
I do.
So tell me how you plan them. Do you plan them like every day, or do you have like a set schedule for the rest of the year? Or
Oh.
Some people do that, you know?
I get why they would do that, but I think the problem with that is you got to be flexible too.
Yeah, that's true.
This whole thing isn't going to work out if you don't have flexibility. You got to be flexible because you get off your schedule one time and you're blown out. Like, you're not going to be able to get back to that exact routine, and that's going to really demoralize you, right? It's going to demotivate you, it's going to demoralize you. You're not going to want to go forward with that. So, make a routine that you can live around.
Yeah, an easy one, like some wiggle room.
And I don't mean that lightly, like you can live around it. As in, you can do all the extra things, like you can go hang out with your friends, you can, play sports, you can work out, and you can make time for meals with your parents. That kind of stuff is, that's really important, you know?
Yeah, so many people, they just try to, like, make that alpha routine where they're doing, like, 6 hours of work every day. That's not sustainable. You gotta, like, balance in everything. Something that you could do for, like, think about it like something you could do for the rest of your life. Like, set a bedtime for yourself if you want to get more sleep, like, a reasonable bedtime, like 10 p.m. Not 7 p.m. You're not going to sleep at 7 p.m.
Exactly.
And, like, yeah, you could apply that to everything.
You got to push it back, right? You got to set your ambitious goals, things that make you go, like, like, you know, like you're just gasping, like you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this could be me. And I think I definitely did that a lot in my sophomore year.
That's good. That's good. All right. How often do you go to the gym? How often do you work out? Tell me about your workout routine too, you know?
So again, in sophomore year, it was different from how it is now. In sophomore year, I was doing like every single day I was doing something. And I don't think I was doing it right. I think you need to have rest days, because if you don't have rest days, your muscles are going to feel really tired. And it's not like the good kind of pump, right? You're getting the pump where it's like really tired, you don't want to walk around. You can barely move your mouse on your computer if you're doing online work. That was me in quarantine. I was doing online work and I could barely move my mouse, how sore I was. So you got to have some limits on that.
Okay.
But I was hitting like biceps in one day, triceps in the next day.
Oh, flex that bicep for them.
Oh.
I don't work out, but like I run every day, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You can tell. You can tell.
Nah, but I was doing like every single day a different split, like a different body part, and that's not good.
That's not good?
No, I don't think so. I think what you gotta do is you gotta divide it into groups. You gotta do those groups. So like push-pull carry is a great one. I like push-pull carry.
Are you noticing a lot more progress?
Yeah,
progress.
Yeah, I'm noticing a lot more progress, especially after doing more of a push-pull carry split, and after getting more protein powder. I think that's a big one too. Like what kind of protein powder you get does influence you. Creatine I haven't tried, but not because I'm scared of it or anything like that. It's just because, I mean, I haven't gotten around to it. I want to try it, though, soon.
Yeah, so I run every day, too. And I believe it's also good to have, like, rest days. But last year, I really found this out. Like, I broke my leg from running too much.
Yeah.
I was running, like, 9 miles a day. And honestly, that's where I should be at. But I went, like, from 0 to 9 miles a day.
Oh, yeah.
And then I really understood the importance of, like, taking it easy and building yourself up to it.
Yeah. How'd you break your leg?
So I got a stress fracture, and you get those from, like, overusing your joints and stuff. So it was, like, from running too much. I ran too much.
And you're back to that point now already?
I'm not really back to it. I'm building my way up to it.
Okay.
Because Ramadan was just around the corner.
Yeah.
I wasn't running for a month. Yeah. What advice do you have for incoming freshmen or anyone in general for having a better social life, as well as, like, balancing everything, as well as being a good student, being involved in extracurriculars, all that?
First of all, you got to put yourself out there. And I say that, like, really seriously. What you got to do is you got to realize that social anxiety doesn't really have a basis. It's only based in what you think is going to affect you for the next couple of years. But honestly, you do something embarrassing, it's only going to really stay with you for, like, a couple of days at most. Yeah. Maybe a couple of weeks if it got on recording and social media or whatever. But, I mean, honestly,
like
yeah, exactly like this. But, like, if people are scared to put themselves out there because they think they're going to embarrass themselves, I don't think that you really need to do that. You just got to go forward with it. You're not going to get any embarrassment.
You shouldn't be scared. It's like people think that other people know what they're thinking. Like,
yeah.
It's like you would probably think, all right, I'm going to reword it. Like, some people think that you could see into my thoughts and see that I'm unconfident, see that I'm insecure.
Exactly.
But really, you just got to fake it until you make it. You got to, like, act like you're secure, and then you will be secure in the future.
There's people doing embarrassing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like if those people were really, scared of social anxiety and all that stuff, and, it was an actual threat to them, we'd be seeing a lot more of those people on the news and stuff and social media. And, they'd look a lot more embarrassed. We'd remember it a lot more.
Yeah.
But we don't, because it's just part of their personality.
Yeah. Think about how much you remember other people's embarrassing stuff. It's like maybe for, like, a couple days, maybe, like, a couple hours, but then you just forget it.
You remember your own, obviously, because you're scared of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So what is your advice for incoming freshmen regarding, like, academics?
Academics. Mainly? Oh, that's probably an important one.
Yeah.
I think that what you need to do is build your routines early. So, like, in summer, right? If you're an incoming freshman, that means you got one summer. It doesn't matter what you did throughout middle school, right? It doesn't matter what you were in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. It doesn't really matter anything about your past. You have a chance to reset. So take that full opportunity, build your routines early, right? In this summer, you can learn about some subjects that you never learned about before that you're going to take in high school. Physics, biology, chemistry, those are all three. I'm pretty sure every high schooler takes them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how non-IB works, but...
Me too, but I'm pretty sure they do take all
Yeah. In non-IB, I'm pretty sure you all take, 4 English classes. You can always learn to write better. No one ever stops learning how to write. You never really stop learning how to do anything. So as long as you have, like, your own motivations for doing it, I think that learning it on your own is the best way to start off that, right? You're going to enjoy your teacher teaching it more if you've already started it yourself. That's how I enjoy subjects. I think that you have to...
If you enjoy them?
Yeah, and to build that enjoyment, you got to learn about it yourself first. Because that's how you get yourself learning it at your own pace. First of all, you're learning what you want in that subject. That's how you're going to get to enjoy it. And then you'll learn the other stuff from your teachers, and that'll be fun too. Only after you started building this own enjoyment for yourself.
So you got to build, like, a personal connection with the class.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's important because I think a lot of people just go into the subject, they're like, oh, I'm going to be a study robot, but they don't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
It's like hell for them to go to that class.
I have that same mindset too. Like, you got to love every subject you do. And if you don't love it, you got to find a way to love it.
Exactly.
Why waste your energy on it? It's better to love something and do it because you're going to be producing better work anyway with that, like, love and that. So you were talking about how freshmen should utilize their summers, and I know this is something you did too. You were talking to me about how you utilize your summers by doing, like, FLVS every day to get valedictorian.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to do because at some point, I don't think I really want to do valedictorian at any point, but what was really important to me was maximizing, like, I thought we're paying nothing for school in IB, right? There's, a bunch of extra costs that we have to pay for honor stools and, random stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you're not paying a tuition fee to go to IB school. So if you're in a public school, you're getting that education for free. Now you can get online education for free too. So to me, that was like, I'm getting free money. Like, they're giving me free courses. I might as well maximize my value.
That's a good way to think of it.
Exactly. And that's why I think that I took FOVS courses, right? Stats, micro, and macro. Okay, honestly, I thought that macro and micro would teach me more about my own economics, but they didn't. That's okay. I still learned a lot that I enjoyed. But, I mean, the other classes too, like, everything had a practical application in life. Even if it wasn't practical immediately, it was something that helped me to think about the world in a new light. And I think that's important.
That's good. That's a great answer. I know you were talking about how you weren't really trying to go for valedictorian, and that's an interesting topic too.
Yeah.
Most people, their big goal is becoming valedictorian. You're doing so much, and you didn't even try to be valedictorian.
I wasn't going for it. I think that, I mean, with the natural goal of trying to take all the courses that were offered to me, I didn't do dual enrollment, which I don't regret, but like, I could have done more dual enrollment. I did a couple of those courses. I was just trying to honestly like learn everything that I could, because I love learning. Like, that's been a natural thing for me.
That's great.
To build that love, not everyone has that. I mean, I think you have that learning love too, right?
Yeah, I read a lot of books.
Exactly.
A lot of nonfiction. I know you do too. Space.
And that's why I think that people will get that love for learning from reading books. Because we're in a generation where, I mean, you have a lot of distractions, right? Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that ADHD is a big thing for our generation. I know they say, like, not everyone has ADHD, because, I mean, people are always complaining about it.
People basically do, to be honest, with all that, the notifications
exactly.
and everything, they might as well.
You scroll to the next TikTok or something like that, or Instagram reel, and then it's instantly a new one. You get a notification, like you said. It's, like, from some random app.
Yeah.
You get advertisements on videos that you're watching.
Exactly. We basically do have ADHD, if you think about it.
At this point, we practically
there's
do.
No difference between us and people who do.
It's important to have that love for learning. If you're trying to get forward and you're not like thinking about, I think that it's about the journey, right? It's about the journey more than the product of it.
The destination, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's also simple advice, right? But I honestly think like it's all the simple stuff that people are forgetting.
So you say you read books. Do you prioritize that, or is it something you do in like your leisure time?
It's my leisure. I can't say I prioritize it because I'm only thinking about like, in my prioritizing, I'm only thinking about the clubs. I'm only thinking about like what my schedule is, my raw schedule. And then after I get home, the first thing I do is set a schedule for it. So I think that I go from there.
So you set a schedule every day?
Yeah,
like,
every day.
For the next day? That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
Which is what I mean be flexible though. Like you gotta allocate a lot of time to every single task because you don't know what you're gonna have to do otherwise.
Yeah, I try to do that too. Set a schedule for the next day, but it's not too specific. It's like more of a to-do list.
Yeah.
And I do it right before I sleep. And honestly, that really helps you sleep too. It just lessens your anxiety by a lot. I found that my sleep quality increased by a lot once I started planning my next day.
Yeah.
So would you do it all again if you had to? Or if you could choose to? Would you do it all of this again?
I would do it again. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's great.
And I mean, I don't even think I need to detail that, right? I think that's just where it's at. I don't have any regrets about anything because like I feel like if you regret anything, it's just gonna become an extra stressor in your mind. Why would you regret anything?
Yeah, it's like a waste of energy.
Exactly. Just keep on going forward.
What is your advice to people who don't want to waste time? Because I know you're really good with this. What is some specific advice you got for that?
I was talking to you earlier about how I think that it's important to do things fast, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't matter how much time you allocate to something if you're wasting all that time and then you don't get it done. Because you can be staring at the paper, you can be turning off all your distractions, you're not distracted at all, you're only working on this task. But in the process of that, you don't get it done. You gotta work faster. And to do that, what you're gonna have to do is really eliminate all the other distractions. That's the first step. After you eliminate the distractions, meditate.
Meditation. Yeah.
Meditation's the big one.
Meditation is key.
And I mean, like I was saying earlier, I do 30 minutes a day. That helps me to stay focused for the whole day. If you can't do 30 minutes, then divide it up into sessions, right? You can maybe make 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. There's always a way to make more time. And I think people forget that too.
Yeah, and it's good to just start somewhere. Even if you can't do like 5 minutes, if you can't try to do 5 minutes, just do 1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute's better.
And then do sessions of it too. Like, if you can't do 1 minute like now, do 1 minute later and then do it 30 seconds in one time, 30 seconds in another time.
Yeah.
Whatever you can to start that habit.
Yeah. First video talked all about that. You got to start easy.
Start easy and break it up.
Yeah. So what are your personal future goals?
Honestly, I've like, in high school, I've been living in the present. I've been living in the present for the whole time because I feel like if I worry too much about the future, I'm focusing on the product. And I honestly think that you gotta live in the present. So what that meant for me was I was thinking broadly about like what paths I want to go into, and then I realized you don't need to figure it out. Like I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. I don't know. I could be anything, you know.
That's
but
interesting.
I like everything, so I would enjoy doing anything at least right now.
So you're gonna like choose like last minute or something?
You could choose. And my sister, she switched from being in the pre-med track to being in pre-law.
Pre-law.
In her third year.
That's a big switch.
That's a big switch, and it's in her third year.
Dang.
Third year of college. So you have time to decide what you want to do. And I think for me, I want to decide like, I think I want to do something in government, right? I think I want to change things for people who are less fortunate than me. That's been something I've done in high school, or at least been hoping to do in high school. And it's something I want to continue doing when I'm older.
That's great. That's great. So you've already set yourself up in a position that you can do anything you want, basically. You could probably do any career. And that's great.
I think you gotta visualize that, right? Like you gotta be like, oh, I could be anyone in the future, and you gotta get hyped. You gotta get like that feeling of ecstasy.
You could be an astronaut too. Think about that.
Have
you thought about that?
An astronaut. I don't know about astronaut, but I mean, I'd love to do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see you as an astronaut. I don't know. But that's basically all the questions, but I want to talk more.
Yeah, let's talk more.
So, what are your thoughts on extreme discipline? Like doing the hard work, even when you don't feel like it. Like doing the last push-up that you didn't do like 5 days ago.
So, I mean, like, let's start with like working, right? With working on stuff that's mental effort, you've got different kinds of effort centers. You got your mental effort center, you got your physical effort center, and you got your emotional one. The emotional one is almost always interfering with your other two centers. If you are feeling really stressed out about something, then you're not going to want to do other things. Like, you're going to be really focused on that. You're not going to be able to meditate because you're going to be like constantly going back to that thing in your mind. And then you might not be able to do work because you're also just thinking about that thing. Stress, that's like the number one enemy of productivity when it's not used towards the productivity, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that means if you're having a hard time in your life, I mean, that's why teachers give you extensions and stuff like that. But if they're not giving you extensions, if you're working with hard teachers, if you're still trying to go to the gym, you're still trying to make those gains, which I always think is good, the gym, that'll help you out, right?
Yeah, it'll help you out mentally too. It'll help you out focus during class.
It'll
make you more
those,
confident. Yeah.
The dopamine that you get from going to the gym, from running, all that stuff, cardio in general. I mean, you're getting that. It's going to help you out with your stress. And then on top of that, you have to meditate. You have to just, I mean, even if you're constantly like going back to that thing, you got to try and meditate because that's going to get your mind off of it. It's going to get you focusing on your breathing. It's going to get you focused on everything except for whatever's stressing you out.
My next question is, do you journal to like figure out what you really want or your thoughts? Do you journal to like for decisions or anything, just in general?
I would say I dream journal.
You dream journal?
Yeah.
So like, what is it?
So dream journaling, you gotta, as soon as you wake up from a dream, even if it's in the middle of the night, you turn the light on like a really white light, just like something that's a little bit bright, so it's not gonna wake you up completely. You write down in your journal just a couple words about what the dream was, so you don't forget it, right? You gotta write down like a one-sentence summary of it. Or if you have all the details, write it down vividly, like every single detail. You walk into a room, it's blue, there's spikes on the walls, like that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you wake up, you get to realize like what that dream was kind of about. As you do this more and more, you get more lucid dreams. Have you ever had a lucid dream?
I've heard of lucid dreams. I don't think I have. I'm trying to get more sleep, and usually if you don't get enough sleep, you don't get lucid dreams.
Yeah.
And I've been sleep deprived for like a long time, so I'm working on it.
I will say, even when I have been sleep deprived, I've gotten a couple of them, right?
Really?
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's insane. But the way that lucid dreams I like to use them at least is to conquer fears. I think that's a big one. And I think I managed to mostly do that. You get less stress when you're conquering all your fears all the time. And then another thing is to indulge yourself. Like, yeah, I think you need to imagine yourself like making a bunch of money, having a yacht and stuff like that. Like, getting really rich, yeah.
Visualize yourself. Okay, because that motivates you to work towards that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And imagining it like you're like, oh, this is a dream. This is nothing like the actual thing, but I'm still getting this kind of feeling of dopamine in myself.
Yeah.
And of course, you got like with imagining your fears, you're flooding yourself. If you flood your fears, you're not gonna have as much of them. At least for most people, it works differently for everyone. But in my case, I think flooding my fears and those kinds of dreams helped out a lot. Dream journaling in general, you're gonna be able to piece together a lot of what your life's meaning is because it's your mind trying to talk to you. That's what I believe.
That's great. I've never heard of dream journaling. That's interesting. I'm gonna try that when I start it. Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
It's a different community. It's not productivity, but like it's more. I mean,
think it still helps.
I think it could help. Yeah, it helps with improvement in general.
What are your thoughts on purpose. Like, would you say you have a purpose right now in your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad passed away when I was in 8th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's been a while since that. I put some distance in it. But when he passed away, I had this legacy feeling in my mind. I was like, I got to live on for him. I got to make everything that I do worth it for like what he did for me to come up.
That's crazy. You transmutated that energy. You used that energy from that terrible event, and then you turned it into something great. Most people, they can't do that. Most people, they would just use that as an excuse to waste away their life.
See, that's the key, though. Most people can do that. It's not that they can't do it. It's just that they...
Exactly.
Yeah, they get wrapped up in it. Everyone has the potential to do that, though. You have always the potential to turn a loss into new beginnings. And that's what I think is important, right? Ends always mean new beginnings if you make it that. So, with that, legacy is my purpose now. I want to inspire other people. That's my main goal.
I'm not going to lie. That really changed my whole view on you. You're such a positive person, and you've had your own terrible events happen in the past. That's crazy. What's been making you happy recently? What's your main joy and pride recently?
I would say it's been seeing the results of my effort. I should probably wait for that, right?
Yeah, that is a plan.
What makes me happy is seeing the results of my effort. So if I'm in a club like speech and debate, I've always said like you need 4 hobbies, right? And I'll talk about that in a second too. 4 different hobbies that target 4 different centers. With seeing the results of my progress, like in speech and debate, I'm seeing a lot of my novices that I trained in public forum, and public forum is an event in debate. It's 2-on-2 debate. So I've trained them to do a decent job at lay debate, which is like speaking to parent judges and stuff like that, trying to convince parent judges against other teams. So seeing the results of that, seeing them place at competitions, that's making me really happy. Seeing them come into leadership positions and be really confident, be really assertive, that kind of thing is, I mean, seeing them become that from how shy they were when they came in, that's what makes me happy.
That's great. That's a great source of happiness. Most people, it's just like the short dopamine you get on your phone, but you got that long-term happiness. And it's good that everyone cultivates like habits that give you happiness in the future, because then you're always going to be happy every day. Like when you start it, obviously you won't be, because like you don't have anything going for you. But once you start cultivating those habits, like getting more sleep, working out, studying more, you're going to be more, your baseline happiness is just going to increase in the future. And that's great.
Exactly. And now with the 4 centers.
Yeah.
So if you got 4, actually you should probably ask the question for it so we read into it.
Yeah. So how should I even ask this? What are your 4 hobbies? No.
So 4 hobbies, I think you need to have one that is sharpening your mind. For me, that's debate. You gotta have something that practically it improves your leadership. For me, I think that would be band. And something that's like raw mechanical skill, which is like music, or if it's running or something like that, or maybe it's one of those track events, which is like javelin.
Oh yeah, javelin. Yeah.
Javelin or pole vault. Pole vault is a good one. Those kinds of mechanical skills. Become the best at it in high school. I mean, at least work towards it. You might not be able to become the best.
Yeah, but be the best you can be, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maximize what your propensity is. And then you gotta have one. Well, for me, SGA was the one that was helping me with organization. I think that's another one that you gotta have. So there's 4 centers, and then you gotta have something that keeps you fit as well. Yeah. So for me, that was volleyball. Yeah. And I think that those 4 centers or 5 centers. Did I was 5?
I think you did, but they overlapped. It's fine.
They overlap a bit. Yeah. Basically 4 main centers.
What were they again? Can you list them?
Yeah, so
like,
you got...
just like the titles, like sharpness, something that increases your sharpness.
Yeah, something that sharpens your leadership, something that sharpens your mind, something that sharpens your body, and something that you can be the best at.
Okay.
A mechanical skill.
So I passed the test. I got all of those.
What are yours?
Mine, something that sharpens my mind is meditating and guitar. That's like more than one, obviously, but like I do stuff for that.
You can have multiple for each one.
The second one was what was it?
Leadership.
I'm doing SGA. I started a YouTube channel. I'd say that ties into leadership.
I think it does.
Taking initiative. The third one you said?
So we got leadership. We got your body as well. Body is important.
Yeah, body.
We know he's got that.
I do cardio every day. I try to run every day. And the fourth one is what?
So, we got your leadership, we got your body, sharpens your mind, and then organization is another one that
organization.
I think this
that ties into like IB and school and all that.
You got that going for you.
But what you should have gotten from that is to have a bunch of hobbies and things that like build your character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different aspects of your character.
Yeah, different aspects. Like, don't just level up one skill at a time. Like, you could be the most studious student, but then you're not gonna have any friends. It's gonna be so unbalanced.
And it's possible to do everything. I mean, people
Yeah.
like they get so intimidated, right, by the thought of working on multiple centers at once. But you can be smart, and you can also be a leader at the same time. You can be working on all those things. You can be athletic. It's possible to do. It's just you can't divide yourself too thinly though. Like if you got more than one thing for every single one, you're gonna have to put in a lot more time.
Yeah. So just break the what are your opinions on like stereotypes for like jocks, studious people, like IB students, like the typical IB student who stays up till 4 a.m., which you sometimes do, I guess.
I do that, yeah.
But I guess not as much as most people.
I do it more for, I mean, a lot of the times I was staying up for extracurricular stuff, like doing debate and stuff like that. Or I was trying to put together a presentation for orchestra or whatever. I mean, I think that ultimately those stereotypes are as true as you make them be. Like for you, if you want to be a jock, then you're a jock, right? If you're constantly at the gym and stuff like that. It's whatever you define it as, though. I think that if you define the stereotypes for yourself as like a lot lighter than what they actually are, I think that's fine. It doesn't really matter how you define them. It just matters like what you're specifically doing for yourself. So get the stereotypes out of your mind. And no matter where you are, there's gonna be people that judge you. There's gonna be people that make fun of you. People who normalize or normatize you, and they assign you to like some kind of weird group, like jocks or nerds or whatever, mathletes. Yeah, I don't think that really matters that much though. Like as long as you're doing what you enjoy, as long as you're improving that aspect of yourself, keep on doing it.
Yeah, you will never see like a hater doing better than you anyway. The people who label you as something, they're never going to be doing it better than you anyway.
It's because they're projecting.
Yeah. So when do you use your identity? Like, do you list yourself as a type of person? Like my identity, I list myself as a runner, a sociable person. Do you do that? And do you use it to like your advantage or anything?
I do affirmations, which is like I am confidence, I am legacy, like that kind of stuff. It's important that you take off the A part or like the article for it, right? Like I'm not a runner or I'm not a confident person, but rather I am confidence, I am sociability, that kind of stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Like you just are the thing?
You are the thing.
Dang.
And that's
like,
powerful for you.
I've never heard of that, but I'll try that.
If you try it, you tell yourself that in the mirror, it's gonna actually like create itself for you.
So you believe in manifestation and all that?
I believe in it.
Right.
Only if you make it happen though, because I mean manifestation is all part of like what you do to make that augment itself in your reality.
That's deep.
Do you think that with productivity, like what are your main hacks for that you go through right now? Like do you listen to ambient sounds and stuff like that when you're working?
So when I start like a task or when I do a task, I try to not think of anything else. So I try not to listen to anything, no music. Otherwise, like when I'm in school during a J, I put in my AirPods and turn on like some white noise so I'm just focused. But otherwise, it's better to just not listen to anything. It's better to just be completely focused on the thing you're doing. Marcus Aurelius, he said this quote one time, like, focus, I'm not going to exactly quote him.
That's all right.
I'm just going to paraphrase it. Focus on the thing you are doing right now like it is the last thing you will do in your life. Okay? And that'll just increase your focus so much if you have that mindset. Would you be happy if this was the last thing you did in the day? Would you be happy if this was the last thing you did in your life?
I like that quote a lot. Yeah, I've never heard that. Yeah, that's a nice quote.
I added a bunch to it, but like, you know.
It's one to definitely like change your perspective on stuff. Yeah.
What are your opinions on presenting yourself? Dressing well, appearing good, like smiling and all that. I know you smile a lot. We talked about this, but like just how you dress. Let's talk about that.
I think that how you dress is a reflection of your character, right?
Yeah.
Or your personality, at least. Maybe not your character, okay, but like your personality. That's really reflected in how you dress. And I think that if you have a fashion sense, I mean, that's like a pretty subjective thing, I would say. But either way, it needs to be something that's like authentic to you. Again, with that authenticity. That's the word. You got to make sure that you're dressing for what you believe is success. So they say dress for success. That's not really like just wear a blazer every day.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Whatever you're comfortable in and whatever makes you feel confident, that's important.
I agree with that because so many people, they just have this mindset where I don't care what I'm wearing. I just want to wear something comfortable. Like, yeah, you can wear something comfortable, but at least make it look good. Don't look like I hope that's not offensive, but like, you gotta look good every day. You can't afford not to, because that's how you're gonna present yourself to the world, and that's how you get job offers. You're gonna get a job offer over the person who's wearing like some shaggy clothes. If you're wearing the good clothes, you're gonna get a job offer most likely.
And more importantly for yourself, right? Like how you dress and how you look to others is gonna be how you feel looking to others. So if you're confident, and you're gonna project that in how you dress.
I've realized that a lot too recently. Like last year, I used to wear like just graphic tees, sweatpants to school, and I didn't really feel confident. Those clothes weren't doing anything for me.
Yeah.
But now every day I try to pick something that like actually makes me feel good. Like, dang, I'm gonna look good at school today. Now I'm getting just free confidence from what I wear, and that definitely helps you in like your mental health and your social life too.
It's one of those hacks, I would say, like one of those dopamine hacks.
Yeah.
Like you don't need dopamine from all these like these artificial sources if you're getting it from these natural ones, like dressing, how you present yourself, your body, all that stuff. What do you say like that with short-term versus long-term motivation? What's keeping you on long-term motivation?
Honestly, I don't believe in motivation, like relying on it. It's more about discipline, because motivation just comes and goes. Like, I read a David Goggins book the other day, and then I did like a couple push-ups for the next 5 days, but then I stopped. You gotta have something that works for you and that you can do every day. Motivation, you can't rely on that, because that's just gonna come and go. Like, I can motivate you to make a decision, like delete your social media right now, or do something else. But in the end, all that matters is your mindset. You can be motivated to do so much. Like, you could lose 100 pounds in a year maybe, but then it depends on your mindset if you gain them all back.
And I definitely think that's really important, right? Like, I think that motivation is just a short-term thing. You'll do it once.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to really stay with it, discipline. You gotta have discipline. And I'm just repeating what you're saying in a different way. But, I mean, that's important, right? You gotta repeat it for yourself. Do you think it's always possible for someone to free up time for themselves to do something?
Yes. You have to make the time for yourself, because, like, just look at your screen time. You're wasting so much time on your screen. That could be the time that you use doing what you want to do. You say you don't have time to do something, but you're really just, like, wasting it. And sure, it might be, like, 30 minutes a day. You might only have 30 minutes a day, but you want to start something else. Get that 30 minutes a day back.
And you have 168 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, maybe it's 167 on daylight savings, but then you get it back. You get 169 hours on that week with daylight, whatever it is, rolling back. But either way, you got a lot of hours in a week. You're only using like 70 of them at school, maybe a couple more to get out, like back from school and going to school.
Yeah.
And then you use a couple on extracurriculars. But, I mean, besides that, sleep should only take like 8 times 7. That's 56 hours a week. Or if you're sleeping extra, that's fine too. But either way, you're left with at least like, to your own interest, you should have at least 30 hours left by the end of the week. When all is said and done, you have 30 hours at home. How are you going to use those hours, right? You can always reformat your schedule to where you're using every single hour in some kind of good way, some kind of way that progresses you. It's important not to be hyper productive, right? Because eventually you'll get burned out. But as long as you keep it to a level where you're enjoying everything you're doing, which is important, you were talking about that earlier, right? Yeah, enjoy everything you're doing, then you're going to be able to keep on going. You're going to be able to keep on motivated and not have those off weeks.
And I believe also, I agree with what you just said, like, enjoy what you're doing, yeah. That's how I am kind of hyper productive in the things I do, because I enjoy what I'm doing. Like, on the way back from school, I read a book in the car. I try to read like a book, because that's the only time I have to read otherwise. On the way to school too, like this year mainly, I read all my AP Euro books. And I just find that whenever I set like that deadline to read them all in the car, I get them done in the car for sure. Like, I always get them done. I always get my pages done in the car. So many people think that they can't make time for it, but really, you could just read them in the car. You could do something in the car on the way to school and on the way back.
Yeah. Even if you don't get the whole thing done, you're getting at least a lot of it by starting.
Yeah. Something is better than nothing, you know?
You get the rough idea, even if you're just skimming the pages, you're going to get that too. And procrastination, like a lot of people say, like, if you can get it done in 1 hour, then you're going to get it done in 1 hour. You don't get high quality work done like that. I will say that. Procrastination, like, I procrastinated before, we all have. But I think for the most part, on what's important, I don't procrastinate. And I think that people need to realize, like, I call this method the crapshoot, okay? So the crapshoot, you write one really bad draft of whatever your assignment is. takes you 2 seconds to write it. That will help you get started on your big tasks. So if I have like a really massive project, a really massive essay, all right, I'm gonna do a really bad version of it first. It might be online, it might be electronic, but then I have a vision for it, and then I can revise it. If it's an essay, I'm gonna revise it like a couple hundred times over the next couple of days before it's due. Or if it's a project, then I can put it into physical manifestation. Even just taking that first step, making it happen, completing that project, that's gonna feel more rewarding.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna stick through it. You're gonna stay with it. You're gonna get it done really quick.
Yeah. There was something I read in a book, like Atomic Habits. There was something I read in a book similar to like that method, Atomic Habits. It's called the 2-minute rule. Just work on what you want to do for 2 minutes, and then you'll find yourself like going more deep into it anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's how you avoid procrastination.
Yeah, yeah. And that's part of a deep focus, right?
Yeah.
You get into that deep focus from just spending a little bit of time on that task. Do you believe that you study better with friends or alone?
Honestly, I don't study as much as I should, and
or completing assignments, whatever it is.
Okay, completing assignments, I feel like I work better alone, but that could be different for other things. I feel like it's better if you work alone because, dude, when you're with your friends, you're not really gonna be focused most of the time unless you got some high quality friends who are on the same plane as you and you got the same values and stuff. But otherwise, it's better to just do that work alone. But when I do work with friends, it's usually with like my close friends who understand what the project is, what we need to get done, and yeah.
Everything that you can do with your friends, you can do by yourself as well. Like teaching other people the content, you can do that on your own.
What do you mean by that? Teaching other?
A good study hack that people say is to teach someone else the content that you're. Oh Jesus, I'm congested.
It's fine.
To teach other people the content first, and then you can kind of learn more of it on your own. Like you learn it better, and you remember it better when you've learned the content once on your own, and then you've taught it to someone else. But I think that you can do that to mirror. You can do that you can do that with your parents. You don't need friends to do that necessarily.
I have a good topic. So we were just talking about studying, and like I don't study a lot.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too. But how do you study? Do you study a lot?
In sophomore year, which was peak AP exam season, yeah, I was. I mean, I was studying a lot with those AP exams, 8 of them. I had to make a study routine, and I had to make sure like I was honestly always doing something productive.
That's good.
And I mean, if I wasn't sleeping, maybe I was playing like a game of Valorant with my friends every night, maybe 2, which was bad. I mean, I was still getting my work done though. I got a lot done. I passed every exam. I think I got a 5 on 3, 4 on 4. I got a 3 on Euro, which was, I mean, can't hit them all.
Shoot.
Yeah.
And Euro is like the main one too.
Well, not for me. I didn't think Euro was gonna be useful.
Oh yeah, because you were taking like 7 other. That makes sense, right?
I wasn't focused on Euro because it wasn't gonna be helpful for what I thought was my goal at the time. At the time, I thought my goal was gonna be founding a cancer research team.
Oh really? Like your end goal, like, dang.
A cancer research team was what I wanted to do at the time, but I don't think that that's what I want to do now. I think I want to change some things about the system itself. Now, with that whole, I mean, what was the original question? I want to make sure I answer that.
How do you study? Do you study a lot, or was it just like that?
Yeah, I think
you answered it.
In high school, I think a lot of people are also focused on completing assignments, right? Assignments is how you mainly get by school.
Yeah.
And you have to make time for doing assignments. And that's another thing, right? Being flexible with how much time you'll allocate to assignments. Until college, I don't think you really have to study as much as you normally would, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just in AP exam season, you'll read through a prep book or something like that. But in med school, in college, you're actually studying the content that you learn in class to make sure you remember it.
In med school. It's someone's life, you know?
Yeah. Don't be using ChatGPT to write those med school thesis.
I'm so scared for how the next generation of doctors is going to turn out. ChatGPT doctors.
ChatGPT doctors. I don't think it's going to be as bad. I think that they're going to be, I mean, people usually get good by that point in their life to where they're studying it on their own.
They better.
Now, I will say, I don't think that AI is something to be dependent on. I don't think it can mimic us yet. Like, it can, or I'm sorry, I don't think it can actually be us yet. It can mimic us, but it's not sentient yet. It can't think like we do. It can mimic how we think, but it can't exactly do it.
So, it's going on that path, though.
I mean, yeah, maybe at some point it will be.
Maybe.
But then they'll just change the doctors to AI, and then y'all will be, I don't know, operating the machines or something like that.
Hopefully I'll still have a job, you know? So, I barely study, and I have like I'm not trying to flex or anything, but I have a 3.97 GPA, and that's like decent for the amount of effort I put in. So really, what I'm trying to say here is you gotta like find what works for you. Okay. If you pay attention in class, you'll save yourself so much time. Like, get off your phone during class. Save yourself time at home when you could be doing other stuff and you don't have to study. Like, I know people this year who, for AP Euro, okay, for AP Euro, they weren't reading any of the pages throughout like the whole year. That's gonna waste so much time when you're studying for the exam, okay? So, you know, in general, just do the bare minimum you need to get like an A, you know, or whatever you want in that class, whatever your goal is in that class. That's what I do, and it works for me.
Yeah, I like that thought. And I think also with those kinds of people who aren't reading pages at all, they're not building the habits. I think that's what's important is that school isn't about learning actual material. It doesn't really matter all this stuff. You're not going to use it in your daily life. What matters is building those skills to learn stuff so that you can apply it in a profession, or you can apply it in college so you can learn more about how to do your profession right. Because what you're doing right now is you're building those skills. You're reading the textbook every day.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to do that a lot more in college, right? So in college, you're going to have to read a lot more textbooks. If that's not your goal, then it's understandable. Just do your time in high school, finish the job. But these videos, I think, are targeted more to that audience.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So if they made it to like the hour mark or something, I don't know what the time is right now, but
probably around
viewer,
like the 45 mark.
I can subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
I think we already touched on this, but like, what are your core values? Like, what are your principles in life? I know discipline's one of them. Learning.
Treating everyone equally. That's a big one for me.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, this might get political. Are you okay with me getting political in this?
Go ahead, bro.
All right. I'm more leftist on the spectrum, like the political spectrum. I would say I'm pretty leftist. I don't know if that misaligns with what you believe in. That's all right if it does or not.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're here to discuss that.
Yeah,
That's good content.
Yeah. So like, I believe in treating everyone equally, and I think a lot of my political principles will reflect that. It's a big value for the liberal side. Now, I think that a lot of people mistake this for me. I don't want people to mistake this for me getting really political, but it's important to know where you identify. You need to have strong values yourself, right? Because if you don't know what you believe, no one else is going to know for you.
I agree with the treating everyone equal, but there's one thing that I want to emphasize. When you're treating everyone equal, you can't just treat like two people equal, you know? Like, in my opinion, okay, that probably got taken out of context again. But you can't treat someone who doesn't respect themselves as equal as someone who does, okay? So, like, you couldn't treat Shiva the same as, like, I'm not going to say anyone's name, but, like, you know, someone who doesn't put in the work, doesn't have the good habits, isn't putting any effort in to better themselves. I agree with treating everyone equal, but, like, to a certain extent, you have to, like, you can't be putting too much effort into that. Like, that
well,
can't be
no one's naturally putting effort into respect you, and also respect is earned, right?
Yeah.
Like, almost no one is giving you respect for free. I mean, I try and do that as much as I can, but I mean, I'm not going to be able to respect everyone that I walk into a room. I don't know their name. I mean, that's just a natural thing for everyone, right? So part of the whole process is building that respect for yourself, and that comes from having your strong values and not being afraid to show those values.
Yeah.
It's okay to have opposite values. Like, he could be I don't know what your beliefs are on the political spectrum.
I'm like mid. I'm like right in the middle.
Yeah, but either way, he could be like hard conservative. It wouldn't matter if we have a conversation about it, if we're willing to have that conversation. If he knows what his values are, I know what my values are. We find a midpoint, and we understand that it's not always about politics, but we understand that we both have values, right? Then that's what's important.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like arguing? People who argue a lot.
Honestly, I think that's all right, right? As long as you're not letting it get to you. I think that arguing and debating are different, right?
Yeah.
That's where we have to make a distinction. Now, with discourse, debate, and argument, those are the three tiers, right, of kind of discussion that you get. Discourse is when you both kind of believe in the same thing, but you're talking to get a higher understanding of it. Debating, you're having a peaceful discussion about things. You're having a understanding of both of you of what's going on, and now you have opposite sides. And I think argument is when we take that and we get too personal with it. We get too personal, we take it too far.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize like you're probably too invested in what you're talking about. If you're letting someone piss you off that much, then you don't really have the self-worth.
Yeah.
Because at some point you have to have self-worth, right? And you gotta understand when you back away.
Yeah. I know so many people who, they have a habit almost of arguing with people. Like, it's probably subconscious by now. They need to start breaking that, because if you're just arguing over very little things too, like, I know people who argue over, like, the color of the sky. Is it blue? Is it purple? I'm trying to, like, persuade people to stop complaining and arguing so much. Like, one of my core values is stop, like, gossiping, stop complaining, stop wasting your energy on things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, debating, that's pretty useful. Like, you're actually getting something out of that, but, like, arguing over, like, things set in stone, that just, you're wasting your time.
Arguing is fueled by, like, bad hormones, right? Like, I say bad hormones, they're good for, like, when they're directed the right way. But if you're arguing and you're just doing it because you feel the sense of pride, get rid of that. Your ego is probably one of your worst enemies that you can have.
Exactly.
And I won't say I've never had ego. I've argued with people over stupid stuff before. But, I mean, part of the whole journey is realizing what you've been doing wrong. And, I mean, some of the times I feel like you have to realize it yourself, right? Sometimes it's not about someone telling you what you've done, but rather how you're picking up from the experiences that you have. So, like, with arguing, for example, I mean, you're going to get into a lot of arguments, and eventually you're going to realize, I'm making too much of my energy dedicated to this. I need to get it out.
That's good. Have you read any... I was going to talk about this book. It's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I feel like you've read it. Have you?
I've read parts of it.
Parts of it.
Parts
Okay,
of
I
it.
could tell.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you practice, like, what you read?
It depends on the book. If I really feel like it resonated with me, then yes, I do. Like, I read The Millionaire Fast Lane. I don't really care about money that much, but I think it's a good book for other values, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard The Millionaire Fast Lane? Yeah.
I've read it.
And
Not yet, actually. It's on my, like,
it's on your to-read list, yeah. Have you read 7 Highly Effective Habits?
In
not
middle school.
Okay, not the teenagers one. The teenagers one's kind of
I haven't read that one.
Okay, yeah. The teenagers one I don't really like, but the adults one is good. You should read the adults one, or People. Highly Effective People is a good book. But yeah, those kinds of books I really like to apply into my own life, if they resonate with me. I think that's important, right? Because you don't really want to half-ass it, right? You want to make sure that you fully believe in what you're applying to yourself.
What are your thoughts on reading? We might have talked about this a long time ago, but I want, like, concrete thoughts on reading, because I think we didn't, like...
I think that's important too, yeah. I think that when you read what you are intaking, you're not always going to believe it, right? Like what I was just saying. But sometimes you got to experience it for yourself before you learn the lesson. It's just that these books are here to reinforce that for you. And I think that's important too, right? Like, books are basically just free life experience. You're getting... Someone is talking to you about their life experience for free.
Yeah, so you're starting off at someone's, like, the end of their life. You're gaining the time that they spent gaining that experience.
It's a head start. It's a free head start.
Saving books literally saves you time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and time is money.
Time is money. And we also have to remember, like, time is probably the most valuable thing you can have in this life, right? Stop thinking in terms of, well, this is a millionaire fast lane concept, right? But I think it applies to everything. Stop valuing every other thing. Value time. Time with people is important. Time with your hobbies is important. Time with all the things that improve you are important, besides just hobbies like what you're doing, academics. All that time is important. But what doesn't really matter is the product of it. Stop thinking about the product. Think about where you're getting from going forward the product. Yeah. And that's going to usually be your time that you're investing into it. What are you doing with that time? And, oh yeah, I was wondering, like, what's with the watch?
The watch?
Yeah, is that helpful for you? Like, do you get confidence from that?
Yeah, I do. So this watch... I'll take it off. My dad gave it to me, and my mom got it for my dad on their wedding day in, like, 1990 or something. So they gave it to me, and it's, like, it's really nice. I'm not gonna lie. The time is off. It never really works that much, but I love wearing it and stuff. It boosts my confidence. That's why I wear it. And yeah.
It's something to remind you of your parents as well.
Yeah, it's like memorabilia too. It's sentimental. It's good to have something that's sentimental and also, like, increases your confidence too.
Yeah. I didn't wear it today because I don't like to wear it when I go out as much, unless it's, like, for a big day. But I have my necklace that my dad, he got as a gift from his uncle. So he went to this place in India, and he got these gemstones from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
One green, one red, one yellow, and one white. And that gemstone, each of those represents a value, right? I mean, I'm not going to talk about all the values. We've talked about them in this video, kind of. But, I mean, having some kind of memorabilia to relate to, something to live by, that's important. And you're going through a tough time, you're just, like, you clutch it a little bit. I don't know for you, but it might be, like, doing this.
I do.
Yeah, you do that sometimes?
When I'm walking around thinking about my mom or something.
Yeah. Thinking about them. That's, I mean, it's a cliche, but I mean, who cares, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's
something that
your
gives you
family,
confidence.
you gotta think about them.
Exactly. You gotta think about their legacy.
Everything, yeah.
And I think this is also something important to touch on for viewers, right? What do you think of like obstacles to people in their productivity? Like maybe it's financial barriers, or maybe there's other barriers like time barriers if they have a job or something like that.
I think obstacles are the way. Obstacles are like what define you, okay? Like, yeah, you might have an obstacle, like you can't make enough time for this certain thing, like studying. You can't make enough time for this or that, for sleep even. But I think going through that obstacle, imagine if your life didn't have obstacles. That would just be nothing. Your life would be like so boring. Obstacles are what make life, okay? If you don't have obstacles, then like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You should have more obstacles. Your goal should be to have more obstacles in your life.
I would agree with that. Now, financial barriers, I should probably wait for this. Financial barriers, I think that is the actual real barrier for people sometimes to being productive. I will say there's a lot of free resources online, but that's usually having to go through the school if you don't have like a phone or a computer at home, or at least not something good enough to run some of these things. So what I think is important is making things accessible for people, right? Now, if you're able to watch this video on YouTube right now, you probably have a way to watch other videos to get more productive, to get more information for your classes, whatever you want to get better at, right? I think people put a lot of value on like SAT tutors and stuff like that. I think you can get all of that knowledge from, I don't know if you're already going into the SAT tutoring.
I am, but I understand. You got to put in the work outside of that.
Yeah,
you got to put more work than just SAT tutoring.
And they're creating like a formatted way for you to do it, but you can do that on your own as well. It's just that they're making that part of the process easier for you. So that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just understand that what you're paying for is not something that you couldn't do yourself. So that's for the people with financial barriers, right? Yeah. There's always a way to make it happen yourself.
Yeah. Khan Academy even. If you can't afford an SAT tutor, I'm grateful that I come from like a more middle class, wealthy family. I can afford an SAT tutor, but honestly, I probably wouldn't be studying SAT on my own. But if I needed to, I definitely would. Like if I didn't have a tutor, I definitely would be going on Khan Academy at least 3 times a week, learning those math concepts and, you know, grinding and all that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just besides that, I never got a tutor because I mean, I don't know if I could afford like all the extra tutoring for everything I do, which is why I try and stay off of it. Like I never started going through the process of like looking for that. I don't know how expensive it is, right? Is it like $1,000 per thing or what?
For one SAT session, like 1 hour, I'm not sure. I think it's like maybe 50 or something.
All right, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that for everything. I wouldn't do it for SAT for sure, but it's good to have a teacher, of course, because they'll give you more experience.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't get that, there's a way to learn it on your own. Maybe not as well as the person who has a teacher, but there's still a way to make it happen on your own to maximize your propensity.
Exactly.
What do you think of like the sharpening the saw thing, like with running, for example? Like, how are you applying that to running? Are there like components of your body that you have to improve?
So for running, you gotta, when you said sharpen the saw, I'm gonna take that as like planning for the next run and stuff.
Yeah.
So for running, every day, it starts the night before, okay? You gotta get all your sleep, okay? I can't sacrifice any of my sleep, or I try not to. Like, even if I have to study for a test tomorrow, I just go to sleep. And maybe I cram in the morning, but I think that 3 hours of sleep is better than 3 hours of studying, okay? Or, you know, you can apply that in so many different ways. Because sleep is like the foundation of everything you do. But like back to like running, how I apply that to running, I make sure I get all my meals every day. So I eat my first meal as soon as I wake up. It's oatmeal. I eat the same thing every day except for like dinner usually because I go out with my family and stuff.
You were talking about that earlier too.
Yeah. And lunch, I try to eat rice and chicken every day. And the way I eat, I try to eat at the same time too, because especially in IB, at our school has lunch at like 1 o'clock. I'm not able to eat at 1 o'clock, so I eat during homeroom or in like one of my classes if my teacher lets me. I eat at like 9:50 so I could digest my food until when I get to the track. Because last year, I used to throw up like at least 3 times a week.
Jeez.
3 times a week at least. Because I was eating school lunch, and that's already bad for like sports and stuff if you want to have like good nutrition. And it was later in the day, and I run at like 4 p.m. and I was eating at 1:30. So those two don't really go together. So I'm just saying you got to plan everything. You got to take into account all the factors that affect the goal that you're going for. one of my goals is I want to go D1 in running. I'd like to achieve that. So I got to take into account all the factors. I got to get my rest. I got to get my sleep. I got to get my nutrition. I got to have the right shoes and stuff. You got to take everything into account.
Yeah. Would you say so far that you're satisfied with your progress towards that goal?
No, I'm not going to lie. The past 2 years, I haven't been, during my races, I haven't been pushing myself as much as I should have. I had a race like on Tuesday. It was regionals. I came second last, okay? But that was because I was out
Wasn't it
during
Ramadan?
yeah. But I still came out to run, and I still set a goal, which was like a really high goal to break my PR. I was a minute behind my PR, but it's still fine. As long as you're making progress and thinking about what's next to come. So I've already started running and preparing for next season.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that my question was kind of a trick question. I'm glad you answered it correctly though. So like, with being satisfied with where you're at, you can never be satisfied with where you're at.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at, but like I think a lot of people would say like I'm pretty successful in high school. Now, I don't really think that. I would think that there's always something I could have done better. So if I keep on working towards it, I'm gonna keep on getting better and better, right? And as long as you keep that mentality up, even when you're winning your races, even the person who placed first in that regionals race, and they're going to states or whatever, right? Are they? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even that person who goes first in states, first in nationals, they can get better, right?
Exactly.
There's someone who's better than them out there. Maybe like they're running in India or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good to have that mindset. Never get complacent.
Exactly.
Never, like Conor McGregor versus Khabib. There's a reason Conor McGregor lost. It's because he got complacent. Khabib is only like, I hope you guys know who they are, but like, if you don't, just search them up. But Khabib, he was just
it's
focused.
The boxers, right?
Yeah. The wrestlers, MMA. Khabib was only focused on wrestling, and Conor McGregor, he just got complacent. He went out partying all day.
Yep.
Who's gonna win between those two?
Obviously the one who's not satisfied.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's gonna be the difference, right, between talent and effort. That's where we get the complacency. You can always beat talent if you have enough effort. I mean, to a certain extent. But if you lose to someone with talent, it's because they're putting in the same effort as you.
I agree with that.
So as long as you max it out even more than they are, there's a way.
Be the hardest worker in the room, you know?
Be the hardest worker in the room.
Do you have any like experiences, like specific experiences that you look back to and it gives you fuel, like short-term motivation? Like I know I do. I'll talk about it after you.
Yeah. I mean, there's moments, right? Like there's positive moments and there's negative moments. For me, it was my band playing October, back in sophomore year. Really emotional time, right? And I mean, it was beautiful sounds we were making. I mean, it didn't sound great, but that's just looking back on it. We did it again this year and it sounded beautiful. But back in sophomore year, just like playing that piece with everyone, it sounding beautiful. I remember that. And then I get motivation to be the best band captain that I can, to keep on going, not get senioritis. Senioritis is the worst enemy y'all can get. Like, you guys push forward, right? But you do these things that you do in high school, like these clubs, because you want to do them, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to do them and you start them out, you better finish your job, right? Because you don't stop getting better until the end of it.
I agree with that.
And then a negative moment as well. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to give you my full answer to that before you go on, because I think you have a
ahead.
great answer prepared. Yeah. When I was in debate my junior year, I didn't place at a single competition. I went from sophomore year getting second and first at every single thing to junior year. I wasn't sleeping, eating right, and I wasn't doing good at competitions. I was in those rooms and I would be like stuttering almost because I was just so locked into nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So not having that focus, not having that organization in my life was a big portion of my life that I'm not proud of. And I remember that time and I'm like, I need to do better than that.
So do you use these experiences as like fuel for the future? Do you ever look back to them?
I look back on them and I'm like, I need to do better than that. Or I look back on it and I'm like, I gotta preserve this feeling, this good feeling. And now for you, what were your experiences that you were thinking about?
I have like this mentality I learned from this book. David Goggins wrote it. It's called The Cookie Jar. Okay?
Yep.
And you gotta have these experiences that you can look back to, that you overcame yourself, and put them in that cookie jar.
Yep.
And whenever you're going through another experience, go take a cookie out, you know? So I'll tell you what I mean. Like last year, December 25th, I still remember it because a lot of things happened. I was on this run, okay? It was my longest run to date. 13 miles.
Wow. 13?
Yeah.
How long were you running?
Like 2 hours. I just really wanted to get to that half marathon mark.
Yeah.
And it was tough. There's a lot of things that, like, I had blisters on my feet.
For the people that know you, that's like something that's like, damn, he did that. And he got through that. It builds character for sure.
Yeah. So whenever I'm going on a run, like, nowadays, and I feel, like, tired, like, recently, yesterday, I just got back into running after Ramadan and, like, exams and all that. I've been studying. I felt like I couldn't run more than, like, 3 miles. And then I just stopped back to that 13-mile event. And I know I could do it, so I just keep going.
You just keep going.
Even if I feel like I'm about to, like, pass out. Okay, you shouldn't run if you feel like you're about to pass out, but
I mean, that's not the point,
limits,
for this question. Yeah.
You gotta push your limits. It'll build your character.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on mob mentality?
Mob mentality.
People following, like, other people doing stuff.
Oh. I feel like people are getting sucked into this trap for, like, mob mentality can be a good thing, but the way that it's happening today with social media and all that, it's so bad. Like, people think it's normal to waste, like, 1 to 2 hours on your phone every day. People are going higher than that for sure, yeah. Not just 1 to 2 hours. But the fact that it's so normalized, that's sad. How can you normalize wasting your life on, like, your phone? And there's other things that mob mentality sucks for too, like being a productive person. Mob mentality for, like, reading books. People think that people who read are, like, nerds, losers, but really it's, like, the opposite. But if you utilize it the right way, mob mentality, like, I try to say, like, I'm a runner, like, those affirmations.
Yeah,
like,
those affirmations. Now I'm running.
It draws me more into, like, my identity of, like, being a runner. It makes me more connected to what I do.
Yeah. So then, you think it's important which people you surround yourself with?
Exactly. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So, personally, there was, like, a period in the past year where I just, like, kind of cut myself off from a lot of people because I felt it was a lot better to, like, just spend time with myself and other people I look up to, like, researching, like, reading books. If you're reading books, you're literally spending time with that person.
Yeah.
So you're becoming more like that person. So if you take time to, like, invest in yourself, you're going to become better in the long run. And honestly, on, like, spending time with, like, people who bring you down, I think you shouldn't try to raise people who don't want to be raised. You know, no one's going to get better unless they want to get better.
Yeah.
You can't raise someone who just...
All you can really do is remind them of what they want to do, but they can't do it, like, with your influence. They gotta do it for themselves. Yeah.
They can only do it if they want to. What are your thoughts on... What was it? I don't even know what the question was.
Surrounding myself with people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that?
I would say, like, to an extent, I've gotten more selective with who I hang out with. I used to be like, I just hang out with anyone, whenever. But I think that when I do that, I get a lot of qualities from them that I'm not always proud of, you know?
Yeah.
In junior year and sophomore year, I was trying to be friends with everyone. Even freshman year, I was talking to everyone, just trying to be friends with everyone. You can't really do that towards the end if you want to be your best self.
Authentic and stuff. Yeah, you can't be yourself, and you have to... Some people are not going to like you if you're authentic.
Exactly, and that's okay. I mean, not everyone needs to like you.
Exactly.
You just need to be willing to take the blows, you know? Roll with the punches. And, I mean, you said the 5 people that you surround yourself with. Think about what my brain was doing in, like, sophomore year when I had, like, 30 people I was talking to. On e-learning, I was friends with, like, everyone. And, I mean, you're not getting those right traits, you know? No, but how is your brain supposed to decipher what is valuable traits when you're hanging out with so many people at once, you know?
Exactly.
And it's all right to have a big friend group. That's all right. I just think that if you want to, like, actively try and pick up good things from people, think about 5 people that are really positive in your life. You can still be friends with other people that aren't as positively impacting, but who you're closely associated with, who you're spending the most time with, should be those people that are making you better.
I agree. But I also want to say, think about 5 people who aren't raising your life at all. Think about 5 people who are kind of, like, who are distracting you from your goals, who are taking away from your mental energy. Think about those people and cut them off too. Maybe not cut them off, but, like, just distance yourself from them. Because why would you waste your energy on people like that?
And that's an important part of that last part that you were saying, mental energy. I mean, if you're wasting energy on someone, what are you getting out of that friendship?
Exactly.
It's a business mentality, but sometimes you gotta have that, right? I mean, yes, it's cutthroat to say, like, I'll cut this person off or I'll distance myself if they're not adding to my value. But if they're not giving you some kind of benefit for your life, by the end of your life, will that have made a difference for you positively? Probably not.
Yeah, it's just the same as, like, spending time on your phone. Like,
yeah.
If you're just talking to someone about, like, nothing, like, or if you're just wasting time with someone if you're friends with someone and you're only friends with them because you do, like, the bad habit together, like playing video games, that's the only reason you're friends, then obviously they're not going to make your life better.
No. Now, make some good memories with them, right? Like, it's all right to just have a conversation or even be silent with someone. That's underrated, too. I think, like, just, like, sitting there and being able to say nothing with someone, that's important. Because we're always trying to talk to each other. We're trying to make things not awkward. But it's only awkward if you make it awkward.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff. Like, just spend some time with those people. It doesn't matter what you do. And video games are all right once in a while, right? Like, you're playing video games just to put some extra ground between you guys. Or maybe you're going bowling or whatever, right? It's the same concept. But, I mean, the bottom line is that person, not what you're doing with that person.
I have that same mentality for video games and stuff. Let's talk about that. Video games. I don't play video games anymore. But, like, I guess if, like, my friends are on, like, the friends I haven't played with in a long time, I'll hop on for, like, 10, 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Just for, like, the night. But what do you think about video games? Because I honestly think that it's a big time waster. It's a big mental energy waster. It distracts you from, like, your real life.
Sophomore year, I wasn't playing them at all. Junior year, I wasn't playing them that much. But I told you about Valorant, right?
Yeah. You talked about that.
That was a big one for me. Throughout quarantine, I would say. That was a big one. Now, I think that if you have a healthy relationship with it, it's to spend time with your friends. Like in e-learning, that was the only way I had to really talk to my friends.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense, though.
Because they were always online, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to hop on for a couple games a day, 1 or 2. Valorant games are an hour each. So you're wasting a lot of time if you actually actively play Valorant every single day, all day, you know? It's very easy to do that. But as you realize, like, what negative values you're getting from these games, you'll naturally distance yourself. I realized that my friends who had a lot more restrictions on their playing time, naturally set by their parents, they were trying to sneak and play more. I didn't have any restrictions set on me, really. Like, I was allowed to play pretty much as much as I wanted to. And was that with you?
Yeah, I didn't have any restrictions as well, but that led to me wasting a lot of time when I was young. Is there something else you want to say?
I wanted to add to that. Like, I was going to say, because I was wasting so much time when I was younger, I got disgusted with video games at some point.
Exactly.
And we got disgusted. We distanced ourselves naturally, which is why I think, like, restriction isn't what builds character. I think it's your own experience, right?
Yeah.
We both were really, like, disgusted with how much we were playing.
So for people who, like, set a screen time for themselves, that's honestly not the way to go about it. Like, trying to limit your time on your phone, you got to change your mindset, really. Because if you just change your screen time, you're going to, imagine if you didn't have that screen time, you're still going to spend time on your phone. You got to change your mindset in order to, like, stick with that decision. So, on video games, on the topic of video games, would you believe that playing video games every day is fine? Like,
it depends on how much every day. Like, if you're spending a lot more on video games than you are on things that make you better, then I would say no. I think you need to spend at least as much time making yourself better as you are in the video games. But sometimes they can be a good reset for your mind. However, sometimes you're playing too much of them, you're going to get this feeling of laziness in your head, right? I don't know if you've experienced that. Like on Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever you play. Are those games you play?
Yeah, I played a lot of Minecraft when I was young.
After a long session of that, you get pretty lazy, right?
Yeah.
You feel this feeling of, like, really just, like,
you don't have any momentum,
sedentary.
You know,
yeah, this really sedentary feeling. You don't have any momentum, exactly. Which is why never play them in the morning. That's an important one. If you're going to play them, make it the last thing you do. I mean, then you don't have any other responsibilities. You can play them, and you can probably put it aside before you sleep, right?
Yeah.
Now, leave at least an hour before you sleep. This is basically me saying, like, how it's healthy or how you can do it in the healthy way. But really, you got to make sure that once you get into it, you don't use your deep focus on that. Because your deep focus will keep you going at a task as much as you can.
It should be like your outlet for...
Exactly.
It should be your recovery for the next day, you know?
Yeah. And that's all right to get from friends, but the video game itself shouldn't be what's giving you that value.
And another topic I want to touch on is, what do you think about, like, gamers? Like, people who glorify it. I don't think... My personal opinion is you shouldn't glorify gaming and, like, tie your identity to that, because then you're just going to end up wasting more time thinking that it's, like, a useful thing in your life. You can't tie it to your identity. But what are your thoughts?
So I think that people who make a job out of it, that's their job, that's how they're making their money. That's all right. They can tie their identity to it. I don't really care what other people do, right? But if I'm giving advice to someone that wants to do more with their life, like a lot more than just play video games like recreationally. And I mean, I'm talking like, I don't mean do more with your life in the sense of if you want to be a professional gamer, then it doesn't really, like you can do, that's do more with your life, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not trying to be a professional gamer, then you got to think about more with what's going to make you better at that task. So if you want to be a lawyer, then get into debate, get into mock trial, Model UN, those kinds of clubs are really helpful. Do more with those instead. That will take away your motivation for video games and it'll put it in somewhere that's better.
Yeah, I found that too. When I started doing more stuff, I didn't even enjoy playing video games. Like,
you do more stuff, that's what takes your focus instead.
Yeah.
Running's better than running in a video game, right? Yeah. Like those kinds of things, and driving a car is better than driving around a Forza Motorsport thing. Yeah. Those kinds of things. I mean, there's always a way to put your motivation elsewhere, right?
Exactly. If you're too addicted to video games or anything in general, you're probably just not doing enough in your life. So just start slowly incorporating more things, like more hobbies, learning. Oh, look at that! Learning an instrument, starting a new sport, going to the gym. Just slowly start incorporating those. And eventually you'll find yourself just not even wanting to play the game anymore.
Yeah. I'll find myself like watching a YouTube video and then I get caught in this cycle, right? Or I would at least before. Now, sometimes I'll feel that like I'll want to go back on YouTube and I want to watch videos, right, for a long time. But then I realize like, Jesus, like I want to play the trombone or something like that. Like I interrupt my task that I was focusing on before that would have been like a negative task, right? Like video games or YouTube or whatever. And I will interrupt it with one of these positive habits, like trombone or tuba or cello or whatever, like those instruments or whatever else, like debate. I'll be trying to like free flow around that I was in before. But either way, it's like you gotta get addicted to the good habits. I think that's always possible to do. Yeah, get addicted to running, get addicted to whatever the good habits are.
If you just eliminate like the things that you are addicted to, and you make your addiction something else, that'll be better. Like if you're playing video games and running at the same time, like in the same, if you have these two addictions, or if you want to make running your addiction, you have to expel video games, because you can't have two addictions at once, or at least that's my belief. You can't be outletting your energy on two things at once. You can't be enjoying like video games and running at the same time. One's gonna win out eventually. If like you have to prioritize one over the other, and obviously for me running was a priority, so I put that above video games and I just stopped playing video games. You gotta find out your priorities in life and then act on them. You gotta like put them into action and start doing things with your priorities, not just wasting your time.
You skip one track practice to play video games with your friends, and then suddenly you're doing it a lot more, right?
Yeah,
like you can't skip practice
that momentum.
For that.
Don't skip it twice in a row,
Not even once in a row if you can help it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you keep on going every single time, there's this thing of like you don't want to have your first failure. So if you keep on going to every single practice, you build this momentum and then you don't want to fail. You don't want to skip a practice, right? Because then you're like, if I skip this practice, it'll be the first practice I ever skip. And then after that, you don't have anything else to motivate yourself with that. Yeah.
That's all. I also believe like that mentality, you shouldn't really have that because it's too reliant on like outside factors. Like you shouldn't be counting how many days you've not missed practice for. You should be just like, if that's your mentality, you should just find a way to do it every day. Like if you're a runner, just run like 20 seconds and then count that as your run. Okay?
Yeah.
But I feel like you shouldn't tie your mentality to like what you do every day. It shouldn't be tied to like the momentum, because that's like really dangerous.
It's dangerous when you lose that momentum. Yeah. And with like running versus video games, right? For you had to naturally enjoy running for you to have that battle win out in the end. But for you guys, you really shouldn't get into these habits, positive habits that you're not feeling yourself getting addicted to. It has to be a natural thing.
Yeah.
If I don't naturally enjoy debating people, then I shouldn't do debate. If I do debate, it's not going to win out in the end, right?
Yeah, do something you enjoy. Habits. That's like fundamental life advice.
Yeah. Do something you enjoy, and I mean that's like underrated, right? People say that all the time, but then you see all these people doing random things that they did in middle school just so they can have the continuity for college applications.
Just for college apps.
Yeah, exactly. Do nothing for college apps. Do it all for I will say confidently, I didn't do anything for college apps. What I did was all for my own enjoyment.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Things that stem from things I did in middle school because I enjoyed them in middle school. not because I want to keep them going and say, I did this for 7 years, you know?
Yeah, the most successful people anyways, they enjoy what they did. They didn't do it because, like, they really had to.
Yeah.
But they enjoyed what they did, and they had, like, a hard work ethic.
Exactly.
If you can have both of those things, you will be successful.
If you're running for SGA in your school, you got to do it because you really want to. You fundamentally want to do your best at it, and you want to make some changes in the school. And that has to be like an intrinsic thing, right? Extrinsic motivation only gets you so far.
Exactly.
The video games, the YouTube videos, the bad habits are always going to win out in the end.
All right, so my last question for the podcast is, what advice do you have for anyone out in the world right now? Or is there anything you want to say to the world, your mom or anything? Because, you know, we're getting big in a couple of years.
I mean, yeah, that's facts. I would say, like, first of all, I'm really thankful to my mom for, getting me this far. She's been awesome as a single parent, doing everything that she can to raise me. And, being not as hands-on with me, that's really important, right, for parents. It takes a really secure parent to be able to do that. Now, I can't really advise people because I'm a 17-year-old. I can only give you, like, what my rough life advice is from what I've experienced so far.
Yeah.
But from what I have experienced so far, I think I have some good tips for staying afloat in high school. And whatever you watched in this video, those are my raw mechanical tips. For life advice, I would say no matter what you go through, there's always a way to reset it. There's always a way to come out as one piece in the end or come out a better person than you were, right? Even if you, like, let's say that you murder someone, you get life in prison. Okay, this is like the most extreme example I can think of. You murder someone, you get life in prison. You might think my life is over. It might have been an accident or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you you get convicted, right? All right, you're in prison now for life. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to get better? Are you going to make your mentality one that you can recover from? We have a pretty terrible prison system. That's what my thoughts are, politically. I haven't experienced it myself, so it's probably privileged of me to be talking about prison. But regardless, I'm going to give my opinion on it. There's always a way for you to make the best of whatever situation you're in. And I've been in some pretty bad places in my life, having gone through losses. My mom had cancer around the same time that my dad was having illnesses. And so, I wasn't always at home. But from those experiences, it was those that molded me. And I always found a way to make it turn me better in the end. So for everyone else that's out there, it could be a lighter struggle, right? Maybe it's like you just got a ticket for something, right? Like you're driving, you get a ticket, and now your insurance shot up, and now you can't drive anymore because your parents can't pay the insurance. Okay, in that situation, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to drive better in the future? You going to be more watchful for cops if you're driving recklessly? I don't know. Whatever you do, are you going to get better from it is the important part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just realized how grateful you are, and that's a great skill to have too. You're grateful to your mom and everything that shaped you as well.
And you gratitude journal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gratitude journaling is fundamental for just being happy in the first place.
Exactly.
Why even go through the days if you're not happy?
Exactly.
But yeah.
It's Faaris.
And see you next time. Think big. Think big.